If you guys are watching this video right now, you're probably trying to figure out how to get your grass super dark, super fast. And I'm going to show you how right now. Hey guys, it's Jesse with Lawn Life, and today I'm going to show you how I get my grass super dark in less than 24 hours. And honestly, it's probably more like 12 hours. So what I do is I use a 3-ingredient cocktail per se. Those 3 ingredients include nitrogen, iron, and PGR. All 3 get your grass super dark. Now you don't need to use all 3 like I do. The most important of those 3 is going to be iron. Now you can apply iron in a couple different ways. You can apply it in a granular form, and you can apply it foliar or liquid form. What I prefer to do is use the liquid form or the foliar application because it works way faster. When you put down granular, you have to water it in and wait for it to go down into the root system and then that plant to bring it up to the leaves. When you apply iron straight to the leaf blade, that leaf blade sucks it in and it's using it right away. Now the reason I like to spray all 3 ingredients at once is because you're already spraying, you might as well put in all those foliar applications in at once and just kill 3 birds with 1 stone. The nitrogen gets your grass dark, the iron really gets your grass dark, and PGR stops the growth of your grass and it gets it dark on top of it. So it's a 3 dark green cocktail that I like to use. I'm going to show you guys how to use that cocktail right now. Now in this bucket, I have 3.5 gallons of hot water. Now the reason I use hot water is because it helps everything dissolve a lot easier. I've used cold water when trying to do this process and it just doesn't work very well. It takes a long time for the fertilizer to dissolve, and the iron doesn't mix very well in cold water. It just kind of sits at the bottom and just all the sediment just kind of sits there and just goes to the bottom. So with hot water it mixes really well. Now I have 3.5 gallons of water in this bucket because I am covering 3,500 square feet. So I am using 1 gallon of water per 1,000 square feet. Now the first ingredient we're adding is nitrogen, which this is urea. Urea is 46% nitrogen, so I am adding 0.2 pounds of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet in this cocktail. Now the second ingredient we're using is iron, and we are using 1.5 ounces per 1,000 square feet. And the last ingredient is PGR. This is my first application this year, so I'm only putting in 5 milliliters per 1,000 square feet. Now go ahead and mix it up as good as you possibly can. Make sure that all of that urea dissolves and all of the iron is mixed up as good as possible. I would definitely use a strainer when you put this into your backpack just because there's a lot of sediment and artifacts that could clog up your sprayer. Now I'm leaving this box out here as I spray just so we can see what the grass looks like before and after. So that way we'll have a control plot basically. Now when it comes to iron, there's not very many negatives that come with it. I mean, all the positives that come with iron is you get that super dark color. It's super healthy for your grass so it can help fight off disease. It actually needs the nutrient. And if you have moss in your yard for some reason, it actually helps get rid of the moss also. So iron does a ton of things for your grass and it makes it look good at the same time. And it also doesn't make your grass grow any faster, which is awesome. So it doesn't grow super fast after you apply it like nitrogen. Now, the only drawbacks I really see with iron is that the iron doesn't last that long. When you apply the iron, it only lasts maybe 2 to 3 weeks, and you have to apply it again to get that same effect. So you have to constantly apply iron to get those effects to work. So that would be one negative. The other negative when applying foliar iron is some types of iron can stain concrete. Now, you definitely want to be careful with this. The iron I prefer to use is feature, which is a chelated iron, and it does not stain concrete. Now, not all chelated irons remove the risk of staining your concrete, so you really got to research whatever product you're going to use and make sure that it doesn't stain your concrete, because once it stains, it's pretty much there. There's a few things you can do to try getting a little bit of it off, but for the most part, once you stain that concrete, it's stained orange and it looks bad. So you want to be very careful with whatever product you're using. Now be careful not to over apply iron, because your grass will turn black and it looks really weird. So the odds of it killing your grass are very low. Your grass is going to bounce back, but you can definitely over apply iron and it's going to look black, and then it might turn brown a little bit. It's just going to look super gross. So just be careful that you're not over applying the iron. So here's the grass after I applied that cocktail and after I cut it. And I'm really kicking myself for cutting the grass, because I should have showed you when it was still a little longer, because it looked way darker than it is right now. I lost a lot of color once I cut it. And that's just the nature of having short grass. It's hard to really retain color. The shorter you go, the more color you're gonna lose. It just is what it is. Now if you look on my neighbor's property line, you can see where I oversprayed and how much darker their grass is on the spots I hit it. So this would work really well with tall grass. It'd get it super dark. But for how much color I lost, it still looks pretty good. And before people give me crap about how dark my neighbor's grass is across the street, I bet you that stuff's 8 to 10 inches in some places. They haven't cut their grass once all year. Just saying. I also did a test area where I covered that box up when I was spraying. You can clearly see where that box was. So my grass was a lot lighter before I added that cocktail. So I'm happy how it came out. Last year, after applying this a few times, my grass got super dark. So this is the first time I've applied this year. So it's not responding as well as it did last year after a few apps. I can definitely see the change. So there you have it. There's my 3-ingredient cocktail. Like I said, you don't need to put all 3 in. You can just do the iron and it's still gonna get super dark, but I just prefer killing 3 birds with 1 stone. If you guys have any questions about foliar applications of iron or iron in general, leave your comments below and I'll be sure to get back to you. If you guys can subscribe and hit that notification bell, I would really appreciate it. I want to give you guys as much useful content as possible. Otherwise, I'll see you next time on Lawn Life.